guys, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me today. In this video, I have a couple of mini Slimline cards that I'm going to be creating using the small die of the month from Spellbinders for April. And this one is called Gift Borders and Sentiments. This is what it looks like. It's very similar to the clear Stampin' die of the month. It's all about this cute stack of presents. And it's kind of clever the way they designed this because you can cut it out completely with these two die pieces that surround it, or you can just cut it into your panel and add the bows and decorate it that way. But I have a couple of designs using this set that I'm going to show you. It also comes with a lot of sentiment dies. And you can build a few sentiments with this, such as Happy Day, A Gift for You, It's Your Day. And the font on these are really cute. So here's a close-up look at the small die of the month. And we're going to get into the card crafting, but I just wanted to show you the clear Stampin' die of the month. I've already created a video using this set. It's very similar to the small die of the month because it has this little stack of packages. And it also comes with the coordinating dies. Also, here's a look at the embossing folder of the month, and it's called Radiant Burst. This is a great size because you can make all sizes of cards using this embossing folder. And this is a nice one to have in your stash because you can use it for many occasions. And I'm going to use it on one of my cards today. And then this is the large die of the month. I've also already created a card using this gorgeous set. So let's get into our first card project. I'm cutting out this stack of presents along the bottom of my mini Slimline card, and I'm just going to use the bottom die to cut it out. This will create a fun opening, I guess you would call it, on the bottom of this card. But here it is all cut out, just being careful not to rip my panel. I had to cut this out with my larger platform, my Platinum 8.5, so that this whole piece would fit. I pulled out my paper trimmer so I can trim off the edge of the presents. I'm just being careful not to cut into the presents, but just to cut off that extra piece on each side. And then I can just pull out my scissors to snip around it. Using the paper trimmer helps to make both sides even. You could use your scissors if you'd like, but I just wanted to make sure I was cutting at the same place on both sides of this card. Okay, so here's the cute little bottom edge on this. The panel I'm using is one I've had in my stash for a while, and I've blended this with some distress inks. And I thought I would pull this out and use it. You could recreate this with your distress inks or distress oxide inks, or even use pattern paper. But I thought I would use this panel that's been sitting in my stash for a while. I am going to cut it down to 6 1/4 by 3 1/4, so it fits inside my card panel. And then the presents will have this cute rainbow coloring to them. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit smaller than the inside of my card so that I can glue it down. But I really liked all of those colors. I cut out the presents again using some brushed silver cardstock, and I'm just attaching this over the presents on this panel. This will just help to bring it out a little bit and add a bit of shine. I'm just lining it up and pressing it in place, but I love that touch of silver over the presents. I cut out the bows with some white cardstock, and I'm trying to color them in or ink them in using the same inks that I used on the panel that I created. And I want them to kind of go along with the color of the present. So I pulled out my mini distress ink cubes to do this. And I'm just tapping on the color. It had been a while since I created this panel, so I was trying to remember what colors I used. It would also look pretty with just more of the brushed silver bows on it, but I just wanted to add a touch more of color to this card. I'll tape the front of my card down so it stays down flat, and I'll start gluing on these bows. I'm using the liquid glue again to do this. I'm matching up the bow colors to the colors of the presents, and this adds such a cute touch to the card. There are 3 different sizes of bows, and I'm just trying to put the larger bows on the larger presents and so forth. I sped up this video so that you could see the whole thing. It's kind of fun to see the progress of this. The tweezers really help out to hold these small pieces and then to glue them in place. This die set would make some really fun Christmas cards as well, I think. But today I'm just creating a couple of birthday cards using this. So the sentiment I chose to use says, "Happy Birthday." I'm just dabbing off the excess glue on a piece of scrap paper and gluing this at the top of the card. I liked this little pop of black. I usually like my sentiments to be black, though. For an added touch of fun and color and sparkle, I'm pulling out the Spellbinders gems, and I'm using the colors that match best with the colors of the bow. So I'm using some pink and red, yellow and purple, and even aquamarine. And here is a close-up look at the finished card. It's such a fun border on the bottom of this card. I love how this one turned out. This card came together really fast, especially if you're going to use like pattern paper behind it. For card number 2, I already cut out the stack of presents, and I cut them out completely using both of the dies as well as a panel to put behind it, just with white cardstock. I cut it out with some gold mirror cardstock, and now I'm going to glue it onto the shadow piece. I'm just taking it off camera to dab it on my scrap paper. And then I can layer this on top of the white cardstock. So I cut it out again, just using some more white cardstock, and I'm going to use some inks to color in all of the presents, 3 different colors. So I'm starting with some pink, and I'm just tapping the color on the inside pieces. Now this inlay technique did take me a while, but I had a lot of fun doing it. If you don't want to do this, of course, you could use a simpler version would be to use just colored cardstock and pop them in place, or even just adding ink onto the white shadow piece and then layering the gold mirror cardstock on top. So there's many versions that you can do of this, but I really like the inlay look, so I thought I would try that on this card. I put little dabs of glue on the insides of the presents, and then I'm just picking up the pieces with my pickup tool and popping them in place. It was pretty easy to do because these pieces are very distinct, and so you can tell where they go. But again, it is a labor of love because it was kind of time-consuming to color all these little pieces and then to glue them in place. But I sure had fun. Here's the result. So I did pink, orange, and green, and then I popped this whole piece up with some foam adhesive on the back. I cut out the bows using more of the mirror gold cardstock, and I'm just going to glue these in place. This is such a slick, shiny cardstock that it does take a little bit of time to dry. But here it is all ready to put on the front of my card. So now let's pull out the embossing folder. I'm using some alabaster cardstock and embossing just half of the ray. So here it is all embossed, and you can see the beautiful rays on this panel. And you can use either the front or the back. It's up to you. They both look stunning. And then to make this pop just a little bit more, I'm going to add some more Distress Oxide ink around this panel. This one is called Spun Sugar, and then I wanted to deepen it a little bit with some picked raspberry. In the center, it's not very evenly blended, but I'm not worried about that because it is going to be covered up by the presents. So I pulled out a sentiment from the clear stamp and die of the month for April. It's going to say, just a gift to say thank you. It's a beautiful font. And then the clear stamp does come with the dies if you want that option. And the dies cut around the letters just beautifully. So let's cut out our sentiments. I'll use a little bit of yellow tape to keep them in place. And I used more alabaster cardstock to do this. It's just a beautiful cream cardstock. So let's pop our presents in place. I really like this touch of dimension for the presents. And then I put some foam strips behind both of the sentiments. I'll peel off the backing and I'll put just a gift kind of at the top corner. And then to say thank you, we'll go right over the presents. This alabaster cardstock just went really well with the gold cardstock and the pink, orange, and green colors that I used on this card. I usually just use white cardstock, and I haven't used the cream-colored cardstock in such a long time, and I really loved how it turned out. I'm using some gold embellishments around the card at the top, and here is a close-up look at the finished card. Again, I'll have all of the links listed in the description box below if you're interested in checking out any of these products. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you were inspired to have a fun, crafty day, and I'll be back again soon with another card video. Take care, everyone. Bye.